Margaret Hayes had been working at Anderson's Fine Dining for nearly 15 years. At 58, she knew every corner of the elegant restaurant, every quirk of the kitchen staff, and most importantly, she understood people. Her graying blonde hair was always pulled back neatly, and her warm blue eyes had a way of making every guest feel truly seen. It was a Tuesday evening in late autumn. The restaurant glowed with soft amber light, and the scent of fresh bread mingled with herbs and wine. Margaret moved between tables with practiced ease, her movements unhurried but efficient. She'd learned long ago that good service wasn't about speed up, it was about presence. At table 7 sat a man she'd never seen before. He wore an impeccably tailored navy suit and appeared to be in his early 50s. There was something distinguished about him, yet he seemed restless. His name, she'd learned from the reservation, was Mr. Harrison Blake. He'd ordered the salmon, barely touched it, and had been checking his phone repeatedly with growing frustration. Margaret approached with a warm smile. "Is everything all right with your meal, Mr. Blake?" He looked up, and she noticed the tightness around his eyes. "The food is excellent, thank you. I'm expecting an important call, and I'm having trouble reaching someone overseas." She nodded with understanding. "Sometimes these things work out in their own time," she said gently, refilling his water glass. "Can I get you anything else?" "No, thank you. You're very kind." As Margaret turned to leave, his phone rang. She was several steps away when she heard him answer in halting, clearly struggling Russian. The words were clumsy, mispronounced. She paused, recognizing her mother tongue immediately. For a moment, she hesitated. It wasn't her place to intrude, but she could hear the increasing distress in his voice, the communication clearly breaking down. The person on the other end was speaking rapidly, and Mr. Blake was becoming more flustered with each passing second. Margaret thought of her own mother, who had passed away 5 years ago. She'd come to America from a small town near Moscow in 1972, carrying nothing but hope and determination. She told Margaret that kindness wasn't about grand gestures, it was about small acts of courage in everyday moments. Margaret quietly approached the table again. "Excuse me," she said softly. "I couldn't help but notice. I speak Russian. If you need help, I'd be happy to translate." Harrison Blake looked up at her, surprise and relief flooding his face. "You do? Oh, thank God. This is my business partner's mother in St. Petersburg. There's been a misunderstanding about some documents, and I can't make her understand. May I?" Margaret gestured to the phone. He handed it to her gratefully. Margaret spoke into the phone in fluent, gentle Russian. Her voice took on a different quality, a warmer, more musical. She listened carefully to the elderly woman on the other end, asking clarifying questions, explaining patiently. She learned that important papers had been sent to the wrong address, and the woman was worried sick that she'd caused terrible problems for her son. For 10 minutes, Margaret stood beside the table, speaking in soothing tones, reassuring the worried mother, getting the correct address, explaining that everything would be fine. She could hear the relief in the woman's voice as the problem was solved. When she finally hung up, Mr. Blake was staring at her with undisguised amazement. "Thank you," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "You have no idea what this means. We've been trying to resolve this for 3 days." My partner Michael was beside himself with worry. His mother is 82 and this situation was really upsetting her. Margaret smiled. "I'm glad I could help. My own mother would have been the same way." "Your Russian is beautiful." "Where did you learn?" "From my mother. She came here when I was 5. We always spoke Russian at home. It's nice to use it again." A soft sadness passed over her face. "I don't get many chances these days." They talked for a few more minutes. Harrison explained he owned an international consulting firm and traveled frequently for work. Margaret shared a little about her mother's journey to America, the struggles and small triumphs. There was an ease to their conversation that surprised them both. Before he left, Harrison handed her his business card along with a generous tip. "You did something truly special tonight, Margaret." "Thank you." She went home that evening thinking about the encounter, but expecting nothing more. In her experience, wealthy diners often expressed gratitude in the moment but forgot faces quickly. She'd learned not to expect more than that. The next morning, Margaret was having coffee in her small apartment when her phone rang. It was the restaurant manager. "Margaret, there's someone here asking for you." "At 10 in the morning? We're not even open." "I know. It's Mr. Blake from last night. He says it's important." Puzzled, Margaret drove to the restaurant. Harrison Blake was waiting in the lobby, looking both nervous and excited. "Margaret, thank you for coming. I know this is unusual, but I need your help, urgently," he explained quickly. His business partner Michael was supposed to fly to St. Petersburg that afternoon to finalize a major deal, but his wife had gone into early labor that morning. He couldn't leave. They needed someone who spoke fluent Russian, understood business, and could represent them with grace and intelligence. "I know we just met," Harrison said, "but last night, watching you handle that situation with such compassion and skill. I've met hundreds of translators, Margaret, you have something more important than just language skills. You have genuine kindness. Michael's mother already trusts you. Would you consider flying to St. Petersburg today? All expenses paid, of course, plus substantial compensation. We'd have you back in 4 days. Margaret felt dizzy. I haven't been back to Russia in 20 years. I understand if it's too much to ask. When would we leave? 2 o'clock. There's a private jet waiting. At 58 years old, Margaret had learned that life occasionally offers unexpected doors. Sometimes we're meant to walk through them. That afternoon, she found herself boarding a private jet, carrying a small suitcase she'd hastily packed. As the plane lifted off, she looked out the window at the city growing smaller below. The next few days unfolded like a dream. In St. Petersburg, she met Michael's mother, Elena, who embraced her like family. She helped navigate the business meetings, but more than that, she served as a bridge between cultures and generations. Her warmth put everyone at ease. On the last evening, Elena took her hands. You remind me of my own daughter, she said in Russian. The same kind heart. When Margaret returned home, Harrison Blake met her at the airport. I've been thinking, he said as they walked through the terminal. Our company needs someone exactly like you. We work with clients around the world, and we need more than translators, so we need people who understand that business is really about human connection. Would you consider joining our team? Margaret stopped walking. I'm 58 years old, and I'm 53. So what? You have wisdom, grace, and a gift for making people feel valued. Those things don't have an age limit. 6 months later, Margaret sat in a modern office with a view of the city. She'd traveled to 4 countries, helped broker deals, and most importantly, she'd reminded herself that her gifts still had value. But every other weekend, she still worked 1 shift at Anderson's restaurant. She'd grown to love that place and the people there. Besides, she told Harrison, you never know when a simple act of kindness might change everything. He smiled, knowing she was absolutely right. Some people measure success by wealth or status. Margaret had learned something different, that our truest value lies in how we treat each other in ordinary moments, and that it's never too late for life to surprise us with new beginnings. All it takes is the courage to be kind, and the wisdom to recognize opportunity when it gently knocks.